Welcome back to The Legal Brief, the show where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. I'm your host, Adam Kraut, and today we're answering the question, can you ship a gun to yourself? And talking about the right way to ship a gun. And I swear to God, if you use packing peanuts, I'm going to vote you off the island. My Case Builder offers one of the coolest ways to protect your investments. Whether you just want custom comb for a case you have, or you want to design a custom setup from top to bottom. You can do that using their growing library of shapes and cases. You can even trace your own to get that ultra custom setup. To get 10% off your entire order, use the code TGC-10 at mycasebuilder.com. If you're an NRA Life member, an annual member for the past 5 consecutive years, or know someone who is, head on over to adamkraut.com to get a petition to place me back on the ballot for the NRA Board of Directors in 2018. Guns are shipped on a daily basis across the United States by FFLs and unlicensed individuals. If you've never shipped a gun before, you may be wondering, why would you ever need to do that? Well, there's a number of reasons you could ship a gun, but the two most likely are that you have either sold the gun or you are sending it to a licensee for gunsmithing. So it's as simple as boxing it up, heading over to your local post office, and sending it away, right? Not quite. Depending on the type of firearm, as an unlicensed individual or an individual without an FFL, you may not be able to ship it through the post office at all. Federal law states that pistols, revolvers, and other firearms capable of being concealed on the person are non-mailable. United States Postal Service Publication 52, which covers hazardous, restricted, and perishable mail, further states that short-barreled rifles or shotguns that can be concealed on the person are non-mailable. Now, there are a few exceptions to that which were found in the law and the postal regulations that you can find in the notes in the description. The most common being that pistols, revolvers, and other firearms capable of being concealed on a person may be sent in the mail to and from manufacturers and dealers. Those with CNR licenses are able to ship and receive handguns from other CNR licensees if the firearm is defined as a curio and relic under the GCA regulations and it is an antique firearm. The general exemption for licensees to ship and receive modern handguns does not apply to CNR licenses. Simply put, you as a non-licensee can ship an unloaded shotgun or rifle as defined in Publication 52 through the United States Postal Service. The definition tracks closely with what we are familiar with in the Gun Control Act, that being the firearm has an overall length of more than 26 inches, a barrel length greater than 16 inches if a rifle, and greater than 18 inches if a shotgun. A couple things to keep in mind. You may be required to open the box or complete a written certification to establish that the rifle or shotgun is unloaded and not ineligible for mailing. You'll also be required to ship the firearm in a manner that provides tracking and signature confirmation, whether it be the class of service you choose or additional service options. There are 2 other ways you can ship a firearm, including a handgun. The first would be a common carrier such as UPS or FedEx. The other would be through an FFL. If you opt to use a common carrier, you need to head over to their website to review their internal regulations. They vary from carrier to carrier. The common trend is that all handguns will have to be shipped overnight. There are nuances you want to be aware of as well, such as things like UPS will not accept machine guns for shipment at all. If you have a local UPS store, you may want to call ahead as numerous people have found out that they will not ship firearms but rather direct people to the service hub. FedEx requires that firearms must be shipped via FedEx Priority Overnight Service, which would make shipping a long gun quite an expensive venture. DHL won't even ship. Is DHL even in business anymore? Don't even bother looking at them. Insurance varies from carrier to carrier as well. For instance, those who are shipping a high-value firearm, like a machine gun through FedEx, may want to look for an alternative way or aftermarket insurance. FedEx will only insure a gun up to $1,000, and it's probably a safe bet it's worth quite a bit more. FedEx and UPS shipping regulations are found in the description below. Regardless of whether you choose to use the United States Postal Service or a common carrier, the outside of the box must not contain markings that the package contains a firearm. Lastly, you can opt to use an FFL who offers the service to ship your firearm to its destination. Some FFLs require that the shipments to them come from another FFL. This is not a law or regulation, but merely their own policy. If you are shipping something to an FFL, you'll want to include a legible copy of your driver's license or other form of valid government-issued photo ID so that they'll be able to log it into their A&D book. If you're shipping through an FFL, you do not need to provide a copy of your ID in the package, as the FFL will provide a copy of their license to the FFL receiving the shipment. For those of you that are planning on having gunsmith work done on your firearm, If you choose to send it directly to the gunsmith, you can have the firearm returned directly to you. It is also possible to ship a firearm to yourself in another state. However, you are going to be using the Postal Service to do it, since UPS and FedEx's own internal policies will not allow a person to ship a firearm to themselves. So if you're going hunting out of state and don't wish to fly with the firearm, you can ship it to your destination, but there are a few things you need to be aware of. USPS says that a rifle or shotgun owned by a non-FFL can be mailed outside of the owner's state of residence by the owner in care of another person in the state where they intend to hunt or engage in a lawful activity. The package must 1. Be addressed to you, the owner, 2. Include the "in the care of" endorsement immediately before the name of the temporary custodian, 3. Be opened by the owner only, and 4. Be mailed using a class of mail or service that provides tracking and signature at the time of delivery. So for instance, if John here in PA wanted to go hunting with Eric down in Georgia, he could ship his rifle and shotgun prior to his flight. He would need to address the package to himself, followed by "in the care of Eric," and the address. It would also need to include tracking and signature confirmation. Once Eric signed for and received the package, he would need to hold it until John arrived, and only John could open the package. As of right now, there is no way to ship a handgun to yourself out of state without violating the law or company policy of UPS or FedEx. And for those of you thinking about shipping a handgun to yourself by sending it to an FFL, think again. Unless you're able to prove residency in the state where the FFL is located, they will be unable to transfer the firearm to you. If you want to bring a handgun out of state, you are either flying with it, driving, or possibly taking the train. As you can see, shipping firearms is not quite as simple as heading down to your local post office, but it isn't all that difficult either. If you know someone who has questions about shipping a firearm, make sure you send them this video. If you learned something new or found it informative, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, you better make that happen and be sure to ring that bell so you don't miss an episode. Also check out my website, adamkraut.com, and as always, thanks for watching.
The shirts worn in today's episode of The Legal Brief have been provided by Patriot Patch. Click the link in the description to learn more.